Namaskar. Today I came with another video lecture on non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. The NSAID is a very important topic and it is very long topic also, and maximum and short question and long question will be asked from non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. Now another important topics remaining in non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. Yeah, there are some important drugs which is used commonly among non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs we'll discuss today. So I am requesting to all, if you think this video lecture will helpful to you or helping you, then please subscribe and like my YouTube channel. So let's come to the topic. We'll discuss important drugs among non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. So another important drugs among these NSAID is ibuprofen. Ibuprofen is the most common drugs which is nowadays being used. So these ibuprofen was the basically a first member of this class of drugs, propionic acid derivative. We introduced in 1969 and it is better tolerated than aspirin. The analgesic, antipyretic and anti-inflammatory efficacy is lower when you give higher dose of aspirin. If you prescribe higher dose of aspirin, if you compare with higher dose of aspirin, then efficacy of analgesic property, anti-inflammatory and antipyretic will be the lower. All the drugs in propionic acid derivatives will going to inhibit prostaglandin synthesis, but naproxen will be the most potent. I will discuss naproxen on the next slide. So these ibuprofen also going to inhibit this platelet aggregation and prolong the bleeding time. As far as adverse drug reaction is concerned, the very minor side effect has been associated with the ibuprofen. CNS side effect include headache, dizziness, blurring of vision and tinnitus. Rashes, itching and other hypersensitivity phenomena are very infrequent. But it's not most common, but very infrequent, or rarely you can see rashes, itching and other hypersensitivity reaction. However, these drugs precipitate aspirin induced asthma. Those patients already suffering from asthma can be precipitated by aspirin. This phenomenon can also be precipitated by ibuprofen. They are not prescribed, means the drugs under propionic acid derivative including ibuprofen, naproxen, other drugs not prescribed in pregnant women and should be avoided in peptic ulcer patient also, because it also precipitate ulcer. That's why those suffering from peptic ulcer cannot be prescribed by propionic acid derivative. As far as usage is concerned, ibuprofen is used as a simple analgesic. As an analgesic, you can use in any pain related issue, and antipyretic in the same way as a low dose of aspirin. When a low dose of aspirin is prescribed, in the same way, and ibuprofen can also be prescribed as simple analgesic in any types of as a pain or antipyretic. Ibuprofen and its congeners are widely used in rheumatoid arthritis, osteoarthritis and other musculoskeletal disorders, especially where pain is more prominent than inflammation. एक तो आइबुप्रोफेन किसी भी मस्कुलोस्केलेटल डिसऑर्डर में आप इसको प्रिस्क्राइब कर सकते हैं, रिमेटॉइड आर्थराइटिस में दे सकते हैं, ऑस्टियोआर्थराइटिस में दे सकते हैं, बट दिस इज मोर प्रोमिनेंट वेयर पेन इज मोर एंड इन्फ्लामेशन लेस. अगर किसी भी कंडीशन में जहाँ पेन ज़्यादा हो, इन्फ्लामेशन का आपका कोई वो नहीं है कि इन्फ्लामेशन रिड्यूस होना चाहिए, बल्कि पेन कम होना चाहिए, ऐसा कंडीशंस में आइबुप्रोफेन इज अ गुड ड्रग. Indicated in soft tissue injuries, fractures, vasectomy, tooth extraction, postpartum, post-operatively, and also suppress swelling and inflammation. So these can be prescribed in these types of conditions also. 400 to 600 milligram or 5 to 10 milligram per kg 3 times a daily can be given as a ibuprofen. Another important drug among propionic acid derivative is the naproxen. Naproxen is the most potent as compared with ibuprofen. The anti-inflammatory activity is stronger and is particularly potent in inhibiting leukocyte migration, may be more valuable among acute gout. Because of this, it is very important for acute gout, can be prescribed in the dose of 750 milligram start followed by 250 milligram 8 hourly till acute attack subside. तब तक जब तक पेन कम हो जाए इन acute gout. Because of longer half life, regular use of this naproxen can effectively suppress platelet function, and gastric bleeding is more common than with ibuprofen. Naproxen carries lower thrombotic risk than diclofenac or etriocoxib etc., which is preferential COX inhibitor, we'll discuss later. Dose should be reduced in the elderly, and 250 milligram twice or thrice a daily can be given. Another important class of the drugs which is prescribed nowadays and most frequent used by the people, that is paracetamol. That is called para-aminophenol derivative. These paracetamol nowadays very frequent drugs used by the people for the as an antipyretic or for reducing of the fever. These paracetamol basically a metabolite of phenacetin, which is found to be safer and effective. These phenacetin was the first drug used in this group, this para-aminophenol derivative group, but not used due to severe adverse effect. Phenacetin was the first drug among para-aminophenol derivative, but it has severe side effect, that's why it has been eliminated. And paracetamol, which is a metabolite of this phenacetin, was is used nowadays as a antipyretic or anti-inflammatory or the analgesic activity. But this is the most potent, very potent antipyretic, while as weak anti-inflammatory. अब action of paracetamol, as far as action is concerned, it has analgesic, good antipyretic. It is analgesic but good antipyretic activity and weak anti-inflammatory. That's why nowadays paracetamol is prescribed for reducing of the temperature, या फीवर में प्रिस्क्राइब किया जाता है ताकि ये टेम्परेचर रिड्यूस करने में तो मोस्ट पोटेंट है. एनाल्जेसिक इज दिया बट एंटीपायरेटिक इज गुड, दैट्स व्हाई इट इज रिजर्व फॉर फीवर. अब जब भी कभी फीवर हो या टेम्परेचर इंक्रीज हो तो पैरासीटामोल दिया जाता है, क्योंकि एंटीपायरेटिक जो एक्शन है पैरासीटामोल का, दैट वन इज अ मोस्ट पोटेंट. पुअर इनहिबिटर ऑफ प्रोस्टाग्लैंडिन सिंथेसिस इन पेरिफेरल टिश्यूज but more active on COX in the brain. In the brain, these paracetamol is more active to inhibiting the COX enzyme, thereby prostaglandin synthesis is inhibited, while in peripheral tissue, this is a weak inhibitor. In the presence of peroxide, which is present at the site of inflammation, paracetamol has poor ability to inhibit cyclooxygenase. अब जैसे हमने बताया इट इज़ गुड एनाल्जेसिक, गुड एंटीपायरेटिक बट वीक एंटी इन्फ्लामेटरी, तब ये दिस इज वन ऑफ द रीजन दैट पैरासीटामोल इज अ वीक एंटी इन्फ्लामेटरी, दैट इज इट मे बी या यू कैन से देयर इज सम कंट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ प्रेजेंस ऑफ पेरोक्साइड. पेरोक्साइड कहाँ पे होता है? इन्फ्लामेटरी साइट पे, जहाँ पे इन्फ्लामेशन हुआ है वहाँ पे पेरोक्साइड प्रेजेंट होता है. एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दिस पेरोक्साइड पैरासीटामोल डज नॉट इनहिबिट साइक्लोऑक्सीजनेज. अब साइक्लोऑक्सीजनेज इनहिबिट नहीं हुआ तो प्रोस्टाग्लैंडिन सिंथेसिस को इनहिबिट नहीं किया जा सकता है, और जब तक इनहिबिट नहीं होगा तो एंटी इन्फ्लामेटरी काम नहीं करेगा. सो बिकॉज ऑफ पुअर इनहिबिशन ऑफ प्रोस्टाग्लैंडिन सिंथेसिस और पुअर इनहिबिशन ऑफ cyclooxygenase enzyme, thereby it is a weak anti-inflammatory but analgesic and good antipyretic. The ability of paracetamol to inhibit COX-3. अब COX-3 एक आइसो एंजाइम है, दिस इज आइसो एंजाइम लोकेटेड इन द डॉग ब्रेन. तो ये क्या करता है? एबिलिटी ऑफ पैरासीटामोल टू इनहिबिट COX-3. तो COX-3 को भी ये इनहिबिट कर सकता है these paracetamol, and these could some contribution in the analgesic and antipyretic action. अब ये भी जो गुड एनाल्जेसिक और एंटीपायरेटिक है, तो बिकॉज ऑफ दिस इज गोइंग टू इनहिबिट COX-3, तो इट मे बी अ लीड और इट कैन बी कंट्रीब्यूटेड फॉर द गुड एनाल्जेसिक एंड गुड एंटीपायरेटिक एक्शन. In contrast to aspirin, if you compare with the aspirin, paracetamol does not stimulate respiration or affect acid-base balance, while aspirin, among the most prescribed drugs among NSAID, which is going to stimulate respiration or affect acid base balance, while paracetamol does not. It has no effect on cardiovascular system. Gastric irritation is insignificant, or mucosal erosion is insignificant. Bleeding occur rarely and only in overdose. That's why paracetamol is a good for also those patients who is suffering from peptic ulcer, because other ibuprofen, aspirin, other going to exaggerate peptic ulcer if you prescribe in peptic ulcer patient. So in between, if you compare with these aspirin, other ibuprofen, other traditional NSAID, paracetamol much be safer, because gastric irritation is insignificant, mucosal erosion is insignificant, bleeding occur rarely, if only in overdoses. So it can be a good drug for patient who is suffering from peptic ulcer. It does not affect platelet function or clotting factors. Paracetamol is also not going to interfere in platelet function or the clotting factors. As far as pharmacokinetic is concerned, it is well absorbed orally. Paracetamol is well absorbed orally, metabolized by hepatic microsomal enzyme. Metabolism occurs mainly by conjugation, for whom with glucuronic acid and sulfate conjugation are excreted rapidly in the urine. Half-life is 2 to 3 hours. Effect after an oral dose lasts for 3 to 5 hours. That's why paracetamol can be given 3 to 4 times a daily, because half-life is only 2 to 3 hours. As far as side effect is concerned, ADR. So as far as side effect is concerned, it is safe drug, but at higher doses or larger doses, acute paracetamol poisoning occurs. At what doses? 10 to 15 gram. 10 to 15 gram in adult causes serious toxicity, and also it is hepatotoxic, causes hepatic necrosis on the higher doses, and causes acute paracetamol poisoning. Acute paracetamol poisoning occurs when higher doses prescribed are more than 10 to 15 gram per day. So what will happen? So manifestation will nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, liver tenderness. After 12 to 18 hours of hepatic necrosis occurs, followed by renal tubular necrosis, and hypoglycemia may progress to coma. 12 से 18 घंटे के बाद आफ्टर पॉइजनिंग हेपाटिक नेक्रोसिस शुरू होगा, followed by renal tubular necrosis, उसके बाद hypoglycemia, it may progress to coma, patient may lead to coma and patient may go into coma. जंडिस हो सकता है, जंडिस स्टार्ट आफ्टर 2 days, 2 दिन के बाद आफ्टर एक्यूट पैरासीटामोल पॉइजनिंग जंडिस में भी हैपन. हेपाटिक फेल्योर एंड डेथ आर मोर लाइकली if the plasma levels above 200 माइक्रोग्राम पर ml at 4 hours. 4 घंटे में अगर 200 माइक्रोग्राम पर ml से ज़्यादा प्लाज्मा लेवल हुआ तो हेपाटिक फेल्योर हो सकता है, और डेथ में भी रिपोर्टेड डेथ कैन बी हैपन. इफ द लेवल इज लोअर एंड रिकवरी विद सपोर्टिव ट्रीटमेंट इज द रूल. अगर लेवल कम है, प्लाज्मा कंसंट्रेशन कम है, तो सपोर्टिव ट्रीटमेंट से भी ठीक किया जा सकता है. अब mechanism of toxicity, why toxicity happens with the paracetamol poisoning. So N-acetyl P-benzoquinonimine, short form NABQ1, these are the compound and is a highly reactive, a minor metabolite of paracetamol. When metabolism of paracetamol occurs, these compound N-acetyl P-benzoquinonimine is a minor metabolite found by the paracetamol metabolism, and it is highly reactive, and this is only detoxified by conjugation with glutathione. जब भी हायर डोजेज में पैरासीटामोल देंगे तो ये जो माइनर मेटाबोलाइट है N-acetyl P-benzoquinonimine इज हाईली रिएक्टिव एंड इट इज ओनली डिटॉक्सिफाइड बाई कंजुगेशन. ये तो पैरासीटामोल में जब भी मेटाबॉलिज्म होगा ये बनेगा. अब इसको अगर तुम ज़्यादा हायर डोज में देते हो, इफ आई प्रिस्क्राइब इन हायर डोजेज, या किसी पेशेंट को हायर डोज में चला गया, तो ग्लूकोरोनाइडिस कैपेसिटी जो है, ग्लूकोरोनाइडेशन कैपेसिटी जो है, या ग्लूकोरोनाइड कंजुगेशन जो कैपेसिटी है, इज सैचुरेटेड. ग्लूकोनाइड कंजुगेशन कैपेसिटी इज सैचुरेटेड, हेपाटिक ग्लूटाथायोन इज डिप्लीटेड, लीवर में जो ग्लूटाथायोन है वो डिप्लीट हो जाएगा, कम हो जाएगा, एंड दिस मेटाबोलाइट बाइंड्स कोवैलेंटली, दिस मेटाबोलाइट एन एसिटाइल पी बेंजोक्विनामाइन कोवैलेंटली बाइंड करेगा किससे, प्रोटीन्स इन द लीवर सेल्स एंड कॉजेज नेक्रोसिस। अगेन आई एम रिपीटिंग, प्लीज बी रिमेंबर अ कंपाउंड एन एसिटाइल पी बेंजोक्विनामाइन which is a highly reactive and is a minor metabolite always formed during metabolism of paracetamol, and this is detoxified by conjugation with glutathione. अब ये दिस इज अ नॉर्मल फेनोमेना, बट इफ़ यू गिव हायर डोजेज या कोई भी पेशेंट एक्सीडेंटली या किसी भी टाइम तरीके से अगर ज़्यादा डोज पैरासीटामोल का जब हो जाएगा तो ग्लूकोनेडेशन कैपेसिटी या ग्लूकोनाइड कंजुगेशन कैपेसिटी इज सैचुरेटेड, माइनर मेटाबोलाइट ज़्यादा बनेगा तो क्या हो जाएगा, कंजुगेशन होते होते एक टमे पे सचुरेट हो जाएगा, उसके बाद कंजुगेशन हो नहीं पाएगा और रिजल्टिंग हेपाटिक ग्लूटाथायोन, जो लीवर में ग्लूटाथायोन है वो डिप्लीट हो जाएगा, कम हो जाएगा। देन इट्स मेटाबोलाइट जो बाकी जो रहेगा सैचुरेट हो नहीं पाएगा, डिटॉक्सिफाइड हो नहीं पाएगा, तो लीवर में भी प्रेजेंट रहेगा, तो क्या करेंगे, कोवैलेंटली बाइंड करेंगे लीवर प्रोटीन के साथ जो करेगा नेक्रोसिस। So this causes the hepatic necrosis and later hepatic toxicity. In chronic alcoholics, and this way acute paracetamol poisoning occurs. In chronic alcoholics, अगर कोई chronic alcoholics है, कोई पेशेंट अगर ज़्यादा अल्कोहल लेता हो तो उसमें 5 to 6 ग्राम पर डे, जैसे नॉर्मल 10 से 15 ग्राम अगर लेते हो, 10 to 15 ग्राम of the paracetamol causes acute paracetamol poisoning. But in chronic alcoholics, 5 to 6 ग्राम पर डे टेकन फॉर अ फ्यू डेज कैन रिजल्ट हेपाटोटॉक्सिसिटी। अगर कोई क्रोनिक अल्कोहलिक्स है तो 5 से 6 ग्राम से ही उनको हेपाटोटॉक्सिसिटी होना शुरू हो जाएगा, बिकॉज इट इंड्यूसेस CYP2E1 दैट मेटाबोलाइज पैरासीटामोल टू NABQ1, N-acetyl P-benzoquinamide. Paracetamol is also not recommended in a premature infants weighing less than 2 kg for the fear of hepatotoxicity. अब इफ द एक्यूट पैरासीटामोल पॉइजनिंग हैपन्स, अब हो गया तो कैसे करेंगे, हाउ टू ट्रीट, तो इंड्यूस्ड वोमिटिंग, गैस्ट्रिक लवाज, एक्टिवेटेड चारकोल, ये सब क्या करेंगे, फर्दर एब्जॉर्प्शन नहीं होने देंगे, डाइल्यूट कर देंगे। इफ नॉट कंट्रोल बाय दिस मेजर देन N-acetylcysteine, this is antidote for paracetamol poisoning. N-acetylcysteine 150 mg per kg should be infused IV intravenously over 50 minutes, followed by same dose, that is 150 mg per kg should be infused IV over next 20 hours. 75 mg per kg may be given orally every 4 to 6 hours for 2 to 3 days. उसके बाद 75 मिलीग्राम पर kg ओरली 2 से 3 दिन तक देते रहना है। तो what will happen? It helps to replenish the glutathione store in the liver and prevents binding metabolite to the liver cell. ये क्या करेंगे, ग्लूटाथायोन को नॉर्मलाइज कर देंगे लीवर में और वो क्या करेगा, फर्दर बाइंडिंग टू लीवर प्रोटीन से इनहिबिट कर देंगे, तो हेपाटिक नेक्रोसिस से इनहिबिट हो जाएगा, हेपाटिक नेक्रोसिस हो नहीं पाएगा। अनदर इंपॉर्टेंट ड्रग्स इन non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs is indole acetic acid derivative, that is indomethacin. This indomethacin is a potent anti-inflammatory drug comparable to phenylbutazone. This is potent and promptly acting antipyretic, potent भी और promptly acting antipyretic, good antipyretic. Analgesic action is better than phenylbutazone, but it relieves only inflammatory or tissue injury related pain. Analgesic action is better. It's good analgesic. In any analgesic, any pain related diseases or in any types of pain you can prescribe, but it relieves only inflammatory or tissue injury related pain. लेकिन those types of pain where pain or inflammation is also higher, more inflammation is there, that type of cases indomethacin can be prescribed. Highly potent inhibitor of PG synthesis. Prostaglandin synthesis can be inhibited most potently by indomethacin and suppress neutrophil motility by indomethacin. So for where it can be used? So rheumatoid arthritis not controlled by aspirin. Rheumatoid arthritis also pain and inflammation, but not controlled by aspirin or aspirin or other NSAIDs से control ना हो, then indomethacin can be given. Ankylosing spondylitis, acute exacerbation of destructive arthropathies, psoriatic arthritis, these all are the inflammation with the pain and can be given, can be prescribed indomethacin. It acts rapidly in acute gout, malignancy associated fever and refractory to other antipyretics. Malignancy associated fever means high grade fever, because indomethacin is the most potent antipyretic. So those types of fever, a high grade fever, also malignancy associated fever, can be controlled by indomethacin. Also can be prescribed for medical closure of patent ductus arteriosus. It is a very good drug for closing of patent ductus arteriosus in children. Another important drugs in NSAID is anthranic acid derivative, and this is a mefanic acid. Mefenamic acid is a good drug. It's an analgesic, antipyretic and anti-inflammatory drugs which inhibit COX and antagonize the action of prostaglandin. Of antagonize action of prostaglandin, inflammation, pain and pyrexia is the action of prostaglandin. So mefenamic acid is going to antagonize this action by inhibiting prostaglandin synthesis or COX. Exerts peripheral and central analgesic actions. As far use is concerned, so analgesic in muscles, joint and soft tissue pain. So mefenamic acid can be prescribed in soft tissue pain, smooth muscles pains. A strong anti-inflammatory action is not needed. जहाँ पे anti-inflammatory action आपको requirement ना हो, जैसे dysmenorrhea, this is smooth muscles pain. So smooth muscles, soft tissue pain, joint में pain हो रहा है soft tissue में, जहाँ पे inflammation नहीं है, तो these drugs can be prescribed. Useful in some cases of rheumatoid and osteoarthritis. While if you talk about rheumatoid and osteoarthritis, because it is an inflammatory related problem, but sometimes this mefenamic acid can also be given during rheumatoid and osteoarthritis. Another preferential COX-2 inhibitor. Preferential COX-2 inhibitor is also you can categorize COX-1 inhibitor and COX as far as preferential COX-2 inhibitor. There are two types of classification: non-selective COX inhibitor, that drugs can also be inhibit COX-1 and COX-2. Another is selective COX-2 inhibitor, but these drugs are preferential COX-2. They were going to inhibit COX-1 also, but it is given preference to the COX-2. That's why it is called preferential COX-2 inhibitor, and this is diclofenac sodium, and this diclofenac sodium is the most common drugs nowadays prescribed. Diclofenac, aceclofenac, these are preferential COX-2 inhibitor, and these are nowadays most common prescribed drugs. An analgesic, antipyretic and anti-inflammatory drug similar to efficacy to naproxen. Naproxen is a very good drug as an analgesic, antipyretic, anti-inflammatory. So this diclofenac sodium is comparable effect as compared with the naproxen. Short-lasting antiplatelet action. Antiplatelet action with a very short period. Neutrophil chemotaxis and superoxide production at the inflammatory site are reduced. जैसे पैरासीटामोल में था, at inflammatory site there is a peroxide. Because of this peroxide, paracetamol does not inhibit cyclooxygenase, that's why it is weak anti-inflammatory. But diclofenac क्या करता है? Diclofenac is going to reduce the peroxide at the inflammatory site. This is good anti-inflammatory also. Uses: the diclofenac can be used most extensively used extensive use of diclofenac in rheumatoid and osteoarthritis, bursitis, ankylosing spondylitis, dysmenorrhea, post-traumatic and post-operative inflammatory conditions. All inflammatory related problems. Dysmenorrhea can be, this is not inflammatory related disease, but sometimes diclofenac can also be prescribed in dysmenorrhea, but it can be good drug for the pain and inflammation related diseases like rheumatoid, osteoarthritis, bursitis, spondylitis, okay, and other post-operative inflammatory conditions. The dose 50 milligram thrice time, 3 time a day. A 75 milligram deep intramuscular injection can be given. Nemosalide is another important drugs coming among preferential COX-2 inhibitor. But nemosalide nowadays banned in various countries. In India also nemosalide banned in the children. So nemosalide is basically weak inhibitor of prostaglandin synthesis, but high affinity towards COX-2 inhibitor. The analgesic, antipyretic, anti-inflammatory activity of nemosalide has been rated comparable to other NSAID. बाकी जो नॉन स्टेरॉइडल एंटी इन्फ्लामेटरी ड्रग्स है, आइदर एसिपिरिन, आइबुप्रोफेन, नाप्रोक्सेन, ओके, पैरासीटामोल, इस सब से दिस इज प्रोड्यूस कंपेरेबल इफेक्ट इन एनाल्जेसिक, एंटीपायरेटिक एंड एंटी इन्फ्लामेटरी, बट इट हैज़ बीन used primarily for short lasting painful inflammatory conditions like sports injuries, sinusitis and other ear, nose and throat disorders, dental surgery, bursitis, low backache pain, dysmenorrhea, post operative pain, osteoarthritis or the fever. So these are the good drugs we can prescribe in these conditions. Gastric tolerability of nemosalide is better. थ्रू अल्सर कॉम्प्लिकेशन आर प्रिवलेंट एज विद अदर एनसिड. बाकी एनसिड क्या करेंगे, पेप्टिक अल्सर को एग्जैगरेट कर देंगे, प्रिसिपिटेट करेंगे, बट गैस्ट्रिक टॉलरेबिलिटी ऑफ दिस नेमोसालाइड इज बेटर. सो दिस कैन इज ए गुड ड्रग फॉर द पेशेंट सफरिंग फ्रॉम पेप्टिक अल्सर. पेप्टिक अल्सर में इसको हम दे सकते हैं. द डोज ऑफ द नेमोसालाइड इज 50 to 100 milligram twice a day can be given, but it can cause hepatotoxicity, and because of this toxicity this drug has been withdrawn in Spain, Ireland, Singapore, Turkey. Also use in children is banned in Portugal, Israel and now in India as well. India में भी the use of nemosalide in children has been banned. Considering that it has not been marketed in many countries like UK, USA, Australia, Canada, the overall safety of this drug, especially in children, has been questioned. बहुत सारे ड्रग्स बहुत सारे कंट्रीज में ये मार्केट ही नहीं हुआ जाता है, और some countries has banned और some countries are banned for the use of children. However, इतना होने के बाद भी, however, the most asthmatics and those who develop bronchospasm or intolerance to aspirin or other traditional NSAID do not cross react with nemosalide. So it is a better drug if the patient is suffering from bronchial asthma or peptic ulcer, but because of hepatotoxicity nowadays the safety of this drug has been in question. So thank you. The most important drugs today we discussed in this video lecture. So I request to all, if this lecture will helping you, then please like and subscribe channel. You can also make a note from this video lecture by stopping the video on that particular time. And in a remaining part, that is selective COX-2 inhibitor and how non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs can be selected in particular case can be discussed in next video lecture. Thank you.